Navigating the dynamics of the Korean Peninsula requires more than just information, it demands insight. Korea Risk Group offers strategic consulting that cuts through the noise. Our experts provide in-depth analysis, risk assessments, and bespoke reports, all tailored to your specific needs. Whether you're exploring new opportunities or managing existing challenges, our insights can be your compass. To learn more about how we can help you make informed, strategic decisions, visit korearisk.com/solutions today. Hello, listeners, and welcome to the NK News podcast. I'm your host, Jacco Zwetsloot, and I am recording this episode today on Tuesday, the 30th of December, 2025, the next to last day of the year. And I'm joined by Jeongmin Kim on the show via distance on StreamYard. Jeongmin, welcome back on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. It's meaningful. It's the last episode.
Yes, that's right. You are the last episode for the year. How do people in North Korea plan to celebrate New Year's this year?
Usually there are like a youth celebration, there are marches, there are concerts. I think it might be the same this time around. But
Mm-hmm.
the New Year's Eve have been quite similar, but New Year's Day have been sometimes a bit different from year to year. If you remember the good old days, there used to be speeches, right? Kim Jong Un would
Right.
deliver a big speech on television about the year ahead and reviewing the past year, sort of like starting the year together under like one motto sort of thing. But that sort of dialed out in recent years,
Mm-hmm.
really.
Yes, he used to. I remember that famous video a couple of years ago of him in a massive study or library that we hadn't seen before,
Mm.
and a lot of people were sort of analyzing the background and the portraits of, I think, father and grandfather, or one of the two in there. It was that was a big moment. But yeah, as you say, they don't seem to do that much anymore.
Yeah, I think that was 2020 or something. It sort of gave him like a statesman sort of
Yeah.
normal country sort of look. I think we were analyzing at the time like that. But then after that, it was mostly like letters on the first day on Rodong Shinmun, a letter, like little letter to the people, basically
Hmm.
saying thanks for going through all the challenges in the past year. And then he would usually keep the main important juicy material for the speech for either the big end of December party meeting,
Hmm.
which is not happening this time because it already happened early December or mid December, or other party meetings in coming weeks. And in this case, it would be Party Congress. So our guess this time is something similar like previous years, something like a written thing on Rodong, but keep the actual really important speech for the Party Congress, probably.
Okay, so we'll come to the Party Congress in a moment, but basically, so what we can expect to see on New Year's Eve is probably some kind of outdoor show in Pyongyang, right? They tend to do that each year, no matter how cold or warm it is,
That's correct.
right? And possibly an impressive drone show, and maybe some laser lights and some fireworks, and a bit of a North Korea version of a K-pop performance.
Yeah, sort of song and dancing. And one outlier in recent years, I think it was 2023, right after North Korea announced that South Korea is a separate country.
Yes,
They did like a missile test, which was kind of new to do on a New Year's Day. But it
right.
was particularly related to their new postures against the main enemy, South Korea, the separate state. So that was, I think, a different situation compared to now.
Right, and that's a posture that still continues, so we can still expect to see absolutely no mention of anything like unification or Korean Brotherhood or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then on New Year's Day, perhaps a letter from Kim Jong Un on the front page of the Rodong Shinmun. But then all eyes will be on the preparation for the Party Congress, and is that the largest of the kind of party meetings that they regularly have in North Korea?
Right, Party Congress is the most high profile,
Mm.
and it's very official, I would say. It usually does get followed up after the party plenum to sort of go through the agenda that they set in the plenum. And Party Congress is where we see major announcements usually. And this time around, it would be reviewing of the 5-year plan and potentially a new one as well.
Ah, a 5-year plan. Okay, so we've got that to look forward to probably in mid-January, right?
I believe so.
Okay. Now we've got a couple of recent stories. One on I want to start with the massive nuclear-powered submarine that North Korea has unveiled.
The Christmas gift. So we are usually preparing for really low news cycle during holidays. But
Yeah.
when we woke up, especially when Colin woke up, and there was this big, massive nuclear powered submarine photo on the first front page of Rodon, Colin used the Christmas gift emoji and saying it's Happy Christmas. So
Yes.
yeah, there was a
Yeah,
big
and a
revelation
bit of
that day.
background context there. There was I think was it back in 2019 that North Korea threatened to give an unfriendly or unpleasant Christmas gift to South Korea and the US, and that
Oh
kind of ended
yeah,
up being
that's
a bit of a
right.
but it ended up being a bit of a fizzer. But now we've got this Christmas gift being a nuclear-powered submarine, and I mean I don't know about the insides of it, but just by the photographs, judging by the scale, once again, North Korea has surprised and impressed us all by what it's able to achieve despite international sanctions.
Right, and what it's able to achieve, at least on the surface, I would
Yeah,
say there needs to, I think at this point needs to be a caveat because we just don't know how developed it is. It's
indeed.
quite big. It's 8,700 ton. It's nuclear powered, not nuclear armed, but strategic guided missile submarine. So like just who knows what it could actually do.
Now,
Kim Jong Un actually inspected himself as well, and the context is really interesting because not only that it comes after South Korea getting the approval from Mr. Trump for getting the fuel for the its own nuclear power submarine, Kim directly framed it around it, saying that this is South Korea also did this nuclear submarine development plan, and Washington approved it, and it's a very aggressive act, and so on and so forth. So that was very, very interesting.
right, but of course, I mean, a submarine of this size and scale could not have been worked up in the last couple of months since Trump gave the green light on South Korea to have nuclear powered submarines. So this was clearly on the way for a long time, right?
Right. I think the context itself, it was probably a strategic timing sort of promotion rather than
Hmm.
they just built it up in the past couple weeks. It was probably in the military multi-year plan as well. But it seems it just made good sense for them to reveal it now before South Korea does anything. And also, there are like important omissions that you can tell that they maybe rushed this a little bit or they are intentionally hiding maybe a few details like the naval reactor. They're not saying anything about it. No
Ah,
photo signs of it either. Have not demonstrated any possession or
yeah,
function of naval reactor either in the past. So experts are actually saying that it could be partially just completed hull, just
right.
sort of used to show it's a progress under the old 5-year defense plan.
And
But
that
anyways,
would
it's
not be
interesting timing
unusual.
still. Yeah, yeah,
Right,
of
we
course.
have in past parades, for example, past North Korean military parades, we have seen things that in the end looked like they were probably prototypes rather than actual working models, right?
Right, like there are usually like mock-ups for a very good sense as well because they probably don't want to roll out something
Yeah,
completely expensive into the Kim Il Sung Square sometimes like when it's raining, right? And also
yes,
they don't want to show too much details to, the zooming party for the OSINT experts, basically.
right. Right, and also it should be borne in mind. I mean, you've already mentioned the caveat there that we don't know what's on the inside of it. But North Korea, if anything, if we've learned anything over the decades, it's that North Korea can put on, can construct a very nice-looking facade. I mean, just going around the streets of Pyongyang, we see these very modern-looking buildings, but often we
Mm.
find out that they're made with old-fashioned construction techniques, just basically bricks, concrete, and some reinforced steel, and then with a nice modern sort of glossy facade put on the front to make it look more up to date than it actually is.
Right, they are very good at the what do you call it? The window
Window dressing,
dressing when
yeah,
it's necessary. They can do it very quickly and very well, but also vice versa. They know how to hide something very well
right.
as well. And also Kim Jong Un, maybe this is not related, but he also did reference underwater secret weapons they have been developing, like hail, nuclear
Hmm.
arm underwater drones as well in the same occasion.
Right. Now, almost at the same time, the KCNA released a statement criticizing the arrival of a US nuclear powered submarine in South Korea, the USS Greenville, and
Hmm.
which it called a grave act of causing instability and escalating military tensions in the Korean Peninsula and the region. Does it see any irony in this at the same time as unveiling its own nuclear powered submarine?
I think from North Korean perspective, it's not irony at all, and it's probably the very convenient justification that I can use. Well,
Yeah.
they have it, and they're using it against us. We feel threatened. Why not us? Is probably their logic. They're saying that Seoul and Washington is forming a nuclear confrontation bloc, and that the countermeasures. I think they did this before when there was an aircraft carrier visiting. They said that they will respond when they perceive a threat. And now they are
Yeah.
also saying something similar, saying a countermeasure could include symmetrical and asymmetrical response, which basically means conventional and nuclear. So I think
Yeah.
from their perspective, building something like nuclear powered strategic guided missile system, sort of submarine, makes good sense, especially when something like USS Greenville is coming nearby.
Also worth mentioning, just as a final point there, that on his visit to the Pongdae or Bongdae submarine factory in Shinpo, up there on the northeast coast of North Korea in South Hamgyong province, Kim Jong Un did take his wife and his daughter along to have a look.
Right. And she was quite tall now.
She's getting big for her. I mean, we don't know her exact age, but she's in her early teens, so she's quite. I mean, she's almost as tall as her father. Yeah.
Yeah, and also she is sort of mimicking or maybe developing a
Hmm.
sense of Kim Jong Un sort of esque fashion, but with her own taste a little bit. I can see
Hmm.
that. But yeah, she has been following inspections related to these really major revelations recently.
Yeah, so we'll have to keep an eye on this and see when this submarine is actually launched and tested. Hopefully, we'll be able to. I mean, nuclear submarines, of course, are famously quiet underwater, so we may not have an idea, but well, we hope so anyway.
Yeah.
Now, for our final story, let's talk a little bit about South Korea. It's finished up its its joint forces field training with the US quite a bit behind schedule.
Yeah, I think I need to use the Titanic meme where you say it's been 84 years. But it's not 84 years, but it's been 4 months. But it's finally completed after 4 months. It was supposed to be a summertime drill.
Right.
But at the time, the reason for delay, US and South Korea, more like South Korea, started explaining that half of UFS outdoor exercises were postponed at the time because of extreme summer heat. It was true at the time of the announcement, but then a couple
Yes.
days later, the heat sort of dialed down. So it
Mm.
became sort of awkward for the military to maintain that logic. And then when reporters pressed at the time, and also it was smart of the JCS to actually say this in advance too. They sort of framed the delay overall as a way to not just respond to the heat, but to spread out the combined training across the year this time and sort
Ah,
of, made it sound pretty. It was to maintain readiness throughout the year, sort of thing, the JCS said at the time. But, anyways, it's been all done now. JCS is sort of arguing, emphasizing that the military is retaining the overwhelming capabilities despite the delay, but there
yeah.
were some speculation that this might have been for political calculation because of a lot of South Korean official remarks in recent months.
Well, and most famously, the Unification Minister Jong Dong-yong talking about
Oh yeah.
scaling back exercises, and there was, I think, in the lead up to as I recall, in the lead up to the APEC meetings in late October, there was such an expectation that Donald Trump might be able to kick off talks again with Kim Jong Un. That do you think that that's one of the sort of behind the scenes factors influencing the decision to delay these exercises?
I think Unification Ministry even went as far as to suggest that it was one of the causes.
Ah,
I think one of the officials in the back briefing were like was quasi being proud that it was being considered. But I'm not exactly sure how much this would actually persuade the U.S. military side of the logic, and also North Korea, although North Korea talks about, how they hate drills, I don't think this is like a card that will actually move a needle. on their calculation. Maybe it's a good gesture from their perspective,
Right.
but it's not a such a important action compared to 2018. But it wasn't just unification minister as well, but I think in recent weeks, President Lee was also signaling some
Mm.
openness to scale back or postpone, like not definitively saying that it has to be done to ease tension, but he was mentioning here and there that he's kind of open to it. And after unification minister said that, and then Lee sort of suggested something similar to that, the national security advisor Ri Song-nak, of course, sort of openly rejected that, saying that Seoul is
Right. He
not
pushed back.
considering scaling back. Yeah, he pushed
Mm.
back very explicitly,
Yeah.
saying that suspending joint drills to restart inter-Korean dialogue is not something that he is willing to do.
Right. Well, let's see how that goes with the spring exercises in
Yeah.
early 2026. How will you be spending New Year's Eve? Will you be staying home watching the live feed from Pyongyang to watch the drone show?
For sure, that's the classic NK News way.
This is what we have to do. All right, raise a glass to our listeners. Thank you very much, Jeongmin Kim, and we'll see you on the show next year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Bestsellers unveiled at NK News Shop. Step out in style with our top-selling apparel from the NK News Shop. Fly high with the Air Cordial T-shirt, celebrating DPRK's golden era of aviation in vintage airline chic. Explore the stars with our Nada hoodie, inspired by North Korea's answer to NASA. Or toast to tradition with our Taedonggang beer T-shirt, capturing the essence of North Korea's renowned brew. Each design is a conversation starter. Find yours at shop.nknews.org. Again, that's shop.nknews.org. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our podcast episode for today. Our thanks go to Brian Betts and Alana Hill for facilitating this episode, and to our post-recording producer genius Gabby Magnuson, who cuts out all the extraneous noises, awkward silences, bodily functions, and fixes the audio levels. Thank you, and listen again next time.